Good morning, class. This week in reading in first grade, we're going to be reading realistic fiction, which are stories that are made up but could happen in real life. Some things that we need to look for are characters who act and talk like real people, the settings that are real places, and events that could really happen. When we're reading to understand, remember the beginning, the middle, and the end of a story. Look for details in the words and pictures to help you be able to retell the story in your own words. Remember the beginning, the middle, and the end. Some of the power words we're going to be reading are floor, straight, designed, whole, real, model. Let's read our story. Young Frank Architect by Frank Viva. Young Frank's apartment is on the top of this tall building. He is an architect. He lives with his spotted dog Eddie and his grandpa, Old Frank, who is also an architect. Young Frank makes things. He uses anything he can get his hands on. Macaroni, books, dishes, spoons, dogs. Dogs? Not Eddie. Yes, even Eddie, but only sometimes. One morning, young Frank made a chair using toilet paper rolls. Said Old Frank. I don't think architects make chairs, and you can't really sit in this one, can you? I guess not, said young Frank. He also made a skyscraper out of books. Buildings should be straight, said Old Frank, not twisted and wiggly. Hey, are those my books? Just before lunch, young Frank designed a whole city. Said Old Frank. Cities are made one building at a time and take hundreds of years. At lunch, young Frank said, Grandpa, I'm not sure I want to be an architect anymore. Said Old Frank. I know. Let's go to the museum. I think it will be very good for you to see the work of some real architects. Don't you? I haven't been to the museum in years and years, said Old Frank. Me neither, said young Frank. They saw lots of things, including a wiggly chair designed by an architect named Frank. Old Frank looked at it sideways. A twisted tower by an architect named Frank. Old Frank cleaned his glasses. They also saw a giant model of a whole city designed by another architect named Frank. Are all these architects named Frank? Asked young Frank. I don't think so, said Old Frank. When they got home, Old Frank said, architects really do make chairs and twisted towers in cities. I guess I was wrong. That's okay, Grandpa, said young Frank. Even I don't know some things. That evening, young Frank and Old Frank made chairs with zigzags, chairs with crazy legs, and a little chair that was perfect for Eddie. They made buildings of every shape and size, tall ones, fat ones, round ones, and one made from chocolate chip cookies. Eddie, don't eat the library, said young Frank, and please get back on your chair. When they were done, they had a whole city. Oof, said Eddie. Shh, Eddie, said young Frank. Stay until I tell you. Good boy. Later that night, when young Frank was tucked in his bed, he felt a bit older, like a real architect. For his part, Old Frank felt younger and a little wiser. Woof, said Eddie. Remember, we're going to be retelling the story in our own words. We'll tell about the main events from the beginning, middle, and end. Here I wrote, the story is about a boy who wants to be an architect. His grandpa said that all his creations, buildings, and chairs could not be done until they went to a museum. Then they started building their own city out of everything they could find. What are some of the different kinds of things architects do? Architects can draw buildings and cities. They can draw furniture and create art pieces. Okay, pick one of the things that young Frank makes in his story. How do you think he makes it? And explain your steps. When we plan, we first write or draw the materials that young Frank uses and what he makes. Use details from young Frank, architect. Stack books. Change angle of books to make a building. Now we're going to write the steps that young Frank follows to make the thing. Remember, we have to write the steps in order and use action verbs and words that describe what he's doing. First, we get all the books we can. Next, we stack the books on each other. Last, we change the direction of some of the books. I've included some videos for you to watch that are different readings of this story. I hope you enjoy this. Thank you.